One more time. Sorry, Tootie.
Hey y'all, what's going on? It's Mindy
And Morgan.
and we're talking about plant-based eating and your biggest must-haves.
Ooh. Cheers. Cheers. Ooh, shit. That was kind of hard. No, it's okay.
Even try to go on a healthy kick,
This is what you need.
so I can remember when we became vegan, Morgan and I, about 3 years ago, we started our journey, and there's so much you try to figure out when you shift your life and when you shift your eating. Eating is so deeply embedded in us. The way we eat, how we eat, especially us Creole girls,
Being from the South.
from New Orleans, from Louisiana.
South. Yes.
Yes, we are deeply embedded in our culture is deeply embedded in eating, period.
Right.
Just like eating. We get together, that's all we do is eat. Everything we do, you gotta have food around it. Like it's always about that. So we wanted to get on here and give you just a few tidbits of a few different items that is like a go-to. Even if you're just thinking about shifting your eating just a little bit, these things you want to put into your grocery list.
Yes.
So what are one of your things, Mark?
I would say one of my main things that got me through the beginning and all the way till now, being plant-based, vegan, whatever you like to call it, I would say I personally love black beans. But I would say that beans is one of the main things that's gonna keep you full. And that's one of the main things that you should have in your pantry. If you don't eat beans, this might be a challenge, but my go-to are beans all the time. And my other favorite is frozen vegetables. So that honestly got us through many nights, right? Didn't it? Like we would take probably like frozen asparagus, frozen cauliflower, frozen broccoli, put it on a nice sheet pan with some oil, salt and pepper, Tony Chachere's or your Lowry seasoning or whatever you like. And that is a meal. You could eat all of it and not have any guilt. But those two things are two of my top favorites, must-haves. Every time I go to the grocery store, I get maybe 4 cans of beans and then, maybe even a pack of beans or frozen vegetables, or you can buy regular vegetables too that are fresh, which is great as well. But I will honestly say when I first started, we did a lot of frozen vegetables, because we were just trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we didn't really know what to do.
So when you become vegan or when you just try to become more plant-based, I mean, because we're not saying, okay, go full vegan, take all the meat out your life, because that's really hard to just kind of shift your ideals.
Unless you need it.
Which we actually shifted, but you don't have to start there.
Yeah.
So what Morgan is saying with the vegetables, the frozen vegetables and the beans is that when meat is a dense matter.
Yes.
And vegetables and fruits and everything else plant-based, you might not have as dense. So
might not feel
you want
full.
to feel full.
Yes.
So the main thing when you start at a plant-based diet is just to feel full. I mean, you can't eat lettuce and feel full.
Unless you eat the whole head.
We're not even big salad eaters because we want girth. We want something like to keep us full and satisfied. So beans is a big deal. So I cook a big pot of beans. I'll freeze them. I'll whatever.
Oh.
And highly season your foods with like jalapenos.
Ooh.
You don't need meat to season food.
No.
Here, our culture here in New Orleans is to season with meat. You don't have to season with meat. You season with herbs and spices and your vegetables that have wonderful aromas, like the onions and the celery and your what you call it, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, the bell pepper, onions, and celery. You know,
Yes.
those kinds of things really get your flavors up.
Ooh.
And so that's one other thing I've learned being you know, a Southern girl and cooking plant-based. So you could take a pack of vegetables, saute them in some onions and garlic, you know, season them nicely and throw that over some pasta or a bed of rice. Wonderful, wonderful meal.
Wonderful, y'all. Oh my
No
God.
meat included. You got a big belly full.
Yes, you can eat all of it too. That's the great part. You don't have the same quick fullness as when you eat a piece of meat, you know?
Yeah, and you're not as heavy after as
Yeah.
well. One of my biggest things that I found that my husband absolutely loves, because he was a milk junkie, is to substitute your milk products, dairy, with oat milk, OAT milk. Now, a lot of people do almond.
Almond.
A lot of people do coconut. But oat milk, I promise you, if it's in your grocery store, it's probably sold out right about now, or almost sold out. Oat milk is your closest texture and taste to your regular dairy milk. So if you have not tried oat milk in your life, and you love your cereal and milk, you love your milk in your coffee, you know, you love that milk substance, you owe it to yourself. Try oat milk.
Yes.
OATMILK.
Oat milk is so
Now
good.
that's not a brand. That's just what it is. There's a different brands out there.
Yeah, there's so many.
Whole Food definitely carries it. I know Trader Joe's. No, not Trader Joe's.
No,
You know,
yeah, they do. They do.
They have an oat milk. So
I saw it.
yeah, so you want to try oat milk. That will just amazingly. And guess what? If dairy is affecting you in certain kinds of ways, with the mucus, and if you have sinuses, and if you have serious issue with mucus in your body, you might want to shift off of dairy and try something else. Oat milk is not going to aggravate your sinuses. It won't
Allergies.
aggravate your allergies.
Yes.
Something that dairy will. So you owe it to yourself to try oat milk. I'm a big, big, big fan of oat milk.
Yeah.
And for me, when I became vegan, the hardest thing to me was to give up an egg, because it's just the simplest, easiest thing to cook an
man.
egg, you know, with a little salt and pepper.
And I miss
You can make some egg rice. You could put an egg with grits. You could fry an egg and put it on a piece of bread. You know, make an egg sandwich. I was just like flabbergasted. I was like, what else beside egg? But guess what? I found something, and it is amazing. It's called Just Egg. It's in a bottle, and you get it from Whole Food. It's in a yellow bottle, and I think it might be in the egg section. It's not egg. It's called mung bean, but it's a liquid. It's a thick liquid clear, and when you put it in your pan, it fries like a beautiful egg scramble. It is amazing. So that's the two. Oat milk and egg, Just Egg is the egg substitute that I really suggest, and you can do that today, and you will feel satisfied in knowing that you're putting something more positive into your body, as opposed to all that cholesterol with the eggs. So,
Yeah, that's man.
Yeah.
That Just Egg is good
It
when
is
you're really
delicious.
craving the egg
and you really want that salty
I want
breakfast
that.
as opposed to a sweet breakfast.
right. Oh man, and that's another thing. It's just like breakfast, like figuring out what you're gonna eat. You know what I mean? Like 9 times out of 10, we're so hung up on the meat, we don't even realize that like the rest of the plate is good too. You know,
Yeah.
like she said, all you have to do is saute a couple vegetables with a little oil and whatever seasonings you like, and you can put that over a bed of rice, and that's a meal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
And one thing I found,
Wow.
like when I cook, I don't lead with the meat. I'll lead with the carbs. So it's like, do I feel like spaghetti today? Do I feel like pasta? Do I feel like rice? Do I
Yeah.
like potatoes?
Yeah.
I'll lead with the meat, with the carb, and then I'll build what I want with that. So
Yes.
if I feel like potatoes that day, I'll
like
do the
that.
roast.
I like
Roasted
that.
potatoes, and I'll
Yeah.
do broccoli and asparagus and maybe some fresh beets cut up, and I'll do like a roasted pan, do like a big like a vegetable bowl.
No, my
depending
God.
on what I feel like.
That's
So,
the frozen veggie thing, y'all. That is
frozen
ooh.
veggie, not canned veggies so much. That's full of
No,
salt,
no.
sodium, and all that. You want to just get your fresh vegetables, and really, I mean, your frozen vegetables. But if you can get your hands on fresh vegetables, so be it. But we're fans of frozen vegetables because they keep in your freezer, and you can have them all the time at your fingertips. So
Yeah. And we like simplicity.
Yes.
We like
Easy.
simple, easy. We like to work smarter, not harder. So,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
being plant-based, we have definitely made our lives simpler and
Yeah.
easier, right?
Yeah. And you know, when you tell people, you know, I'm vegan, I'm plant-based, you know, I only eat vegetables and I don't eat meat, they're like, well, what do you eat?
What are the three things?
Greens, grains, and beans.
Yes. And that's literally what we said. Like
Greens, grains,
the
and
greens.
beans.
I mean, we didn't really talk about spinach and stuff, but it's
That's
definitely
always a thumbs
imperative
up.
to get some kind of green vegetable in your diet. But the beans and the grains, like y'all, you can consume carbohydrates being a plant-based eater. You know what I mean?
It's okay.
You can totally
like for the
do
longest,
it.
we were taught like carbs are the devil. So
Right.
you kept away from the potato, you kept away from the rice, you kept away from
Right.
the pasta, whatever, you know, carbs. But if you're not eating meat, you still want to have something that's going to give you the fullness, and that's where that
Yes.
plays in.
Yeah.
And then the balance between your vegetables and your carbs. You got to
Yeah.
make sure you're not a carb junkie and only carbs.
Right.
So it's all a balance. It's all a beautiful balance. It's all a beautiful walk. And we just want to urge you, you know, if there's just one thing you can do, is just fill your plate with just as much vegetables as anything else on your plate, or just make your plate 3/4 vegetables and everything else, you know, carbs and meat.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we're gonna get out of here.
Because you hear the dog barking in the back.
Yes, Morgan's beautiful dog.
Right? And we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to
Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Comment below.
Cheers.
We'll see you guys later.
Yes.